Okay. We left off right on the top of Lamed Ches yesterday. Just go back a little bit. On the bottom of Lamed Zayin Amud Beis. Three lines from the bottom. Lamed Zayin Amud Beis. So we have the argument, what is the meaning of Moshe V'Seichem? Does Moshe V'Seichem mean in your communities? Or does Moshe V'Seichem mean after you've conquered and divided, you've settled in the land? Somewhere it says, according to the position, and this is Reb Lezer, that Moshe V'Seichem means wherever you're living, your communities. So we're able to understand the pasuk in Yeshua. The Torah tells us, "Vayochlu." The Mishnah says, "Av chodesh in chutz loretz." Tuma chodesh. Chodesh is not everywhere, even chutz loretz. Yeah, you're bound by chodesh, right? So, Hainu d'chsiv vayochlu mi'avor ha'oretz mimochras ha'pesach. When did they eat the new grain? After they entered into land, mimochras ha'pesach. On the 16th day. Right? The first day Chol HaMoed. That's when they eat Chodesh. Me mochras ha-pesach ochol, me kor lo ochol. They ate it only the next day, after the first day of Pesach passed. But initially, the first day of Pesach, they didn't eat the new grain. Correct? Okay. You weren't there this week. Listen, and we'll clarify it. So, if Moshe V'Seichem means you must keep Chodesh in all your communities. It's unrelated to conquering the land. Nothing to do with conquest and settling in the land. So what is it? Chodesh must be kept. So the moment you enter into the land, now I have Chodesh, so you must observe Chodesh. When are you permitted to eat the new grain? First day Chol HaMoed, right? That's Mochras HaPesach. Almo, so evidently what happened? Akruv Omer, they brought the Korban Omer, which permits the Chodesh, on the 16th, Vodo Achol, and therefore they ate it. That's why they ate it, Mochras HaPesach, because the law of Chodesh was applicable to them. Because when Torah says Moshe V'Seichem, it has nothing to do with when you're settled in the land, but rather it means in your communities. But according to the interpretation, Moshe V'Seichem means that after you've conquered and you've settled in the land, Nechol Alter, they should have been able to eat the new grain immediately, because the provision, when does the provision come into effect? Moshe V'Seichem. That should be 14 years later. So why did they have to wait till Mochras HaPesach to eat the new grain? Okay? Okay, let's say it was. So that means it's Chodesh, they can't eat Chodesh from Midbar, so... After Sinai, from after Sinai. It doesn't matter. So that means when they come, there's no prohibition, but when they come in land, it's already there. Is that what you're saying? So you have the grain. So if it's the 16th of what? Nisan, so then you're permitted to eat it, right? Because you bring the Korban Omer. That's when the oblation comes about. So they don't hold Chodesh the whole time from the Midbar. Correct. 14 years into the Correct. So that's the question. So why did they eat it immediately? Why did they not? It says they only eat the Chodesh Me'avor HaPesach, only the second day of Pesach, of the Yom Tif, on the 16th. They eaten it right away. Correct. That's the Gemara's question. They should have eaten the new grain immediately, the moment they came into the land. Or what, the 15th, they should have eaten it. There's no prohibition. There's no prohibition, exactly. We'll discuss it in a minute. So it says, according to the opinion that Moshe V'Seichem means communities, what they had to wait because Akar V'Omer Voda Achol, they had to wait till the Omer was brought on the 16th of the new grain, right? That's the Korban Omer, and then they were able to eat. Because Moshe V'Seichem means your community, so the provision's in effect. But according to the other interpretation, the provision is not in effect yet. That's the kasha. That's the question. So we discussed Tosas yesterday. Tosas cited Yerushalmi. Yerushalmi asks, why did they eat the matzah from Chodesh? Right? Why did they not eat? They should have been able to eat the matzah from the new grain. We should say, Asay Dochalos Asay. That's the Yerushalmi's question. Tosas cites the Yerushalmi. No, they should have been able to eat. The Gemara says, according to Moshe V'Seichem, which means when it's in effect immediately, because it's your communities, we understand why they had to wait till the 16th to eat the new grain. That means the matzah they ate at the Seder had to be old grain, couldn't be new grain. Couldn't be new grain. So the Rishalmi asks, why did it have to be new grain? Old grain? Could have been the new grain. Let's say Asay Dochalos Asay. That's the Yerushalmi's question. That's Tosas cites the Yerushalmi. David, you with me? So Yerushalmi gave an answer that a naseh, which is in effect before Matan Torah, does not supersede the lo saseh, which is after Matan Torah. Chodosh was introduced after Matan Torah. Matzah was pre-Matan Torah. Doesn't have that strength to supersede. Again, what's the rationale? Because again, we have a model. What's the model of Asay Dochalos Asay? Kalayim b'tzitzis. Tzitzis was given, that's an Asay after Matan Torah. So the Asay after Matan Torah supersedes the Lo Asay, which is after Matan Torah. But an Asay which preceded, we don't have a model of that situation. Therefore, it does not succeed. That's the Yerushalmi's answer. Right? In Torah, it's Asay the Kodem Adibor, Docha Lo Say Dachar Adibor. In Egypt, Mitzrayim. What do you mean happened that way? They ate it with the Korban Pesach. That's the question. They ate it with the Korban Pesach in Mitzrayim. They ate matzah. Okay. No, so therefore they weren't able to eat the Chodesh, because the mitzvah of matzah will not supersede the lo saseh of what? Will not supersede the lo saseh of Chodesh. Right. That's the reason. That's the Yerushalmi's answer. Inami, now Tosas himself answers the question. Inami yeshlomar de gzeiro k'zayis rishnot k'zayis sheni. This is where we left off yesterday. Because we're concerned that we allow you to eat the first k'zayis, you may eat the second k'zayis. The mitzvah is only one k'zayis. So it's a rabbinic fence. That's why they did not eat the chodosh. To rely on Asay Dochalos Asay, because there's a concern you may eat too much. Okay? So we pointed out one thing, we see something kiddush, because the Gemara says in Eruvin, which we once studied, that the first fences that were legislated were by Shlomo Melech. Until Shlomo, there were no such thing as fences, rabbinic fences. And here we see, according to what Tosas is saying, this is when they first came into the land. Why did they not eat chodosh the first night, the night of the Seder, from the new grain? Because there's a concern you may eat too much. If we allow you to eat one kazayis, you may eat the second kazayis. It's drabonon. Drabonons weren't in effect, right? So either you could say it wasn't an official, it wasn't legislated, that if you would have, you've been in violation of Lososer. And anything which Chazal, they legislate, if you violate that, it's Lososer, it's a Torah violation. You shouldn't deviate from what they legislate. But it was a concern. You eat one, there's a concern you eat too much. Either will say that. But I said, besides that, what's the difference between a kazayis, less than a kazayis, and more than a kazayis? Talking about mashu, right? Something minuscule. How could you say, we should say, Asay Dochalos Asay. If you say there's a mitzvah to eat as much as you eat, okay, so you can eat as much, and you're always covered with the principle, Asay Dochalos Asay. But if the mitzvah is only exactly a kazayis, not more than a kazayis, so what happens if you eat slightly more than the kazayis of Chodesh? Right? Eat slightly more. What's going to be? You're in violation of Yini Chodesh. So what's even the consideration? You should be able to eat the matzah with Chodesh and say Asay Dochalos Asay. You always have to eat a little more because you may be eating a little less. So what's even the consideration? Say Asay Dochalos Asay. Right? That's what I asked yesterday. So what's the basis for Yerushalmi's question? Moshe, you hear the question? Moshe's thinking about another question. That's right. No, then the question has no basis. To eat a kazayis, you're not sure how much a kazayis is. You can't be that exact. So you'll have to eat slightly more to make sure you eat a kazayas. But then it's a sofik d'oraisa l'chumra, right? Because you may be eating more than you have to, and once you go beyond that line, it's a Torah violation.
You're suggesting a problem to the answer, which is you can't work it out, as opposed to the answer making sense. The answer of you have to eat a kazayas is okay. So now you have to eat a kazayas, but it's a problem because you can't do it. But
It's not workable. The question was, why did they have to wait for the 16th Ita Chodosh? Yerushalmi asks. They could have eaten at the Seder, say Asidil Chodosa, say. It's just not applicable. It's not practical. Because factually speaking, you never know. You may be eating too much, so therefore you're not able to. So if the rice l'chumra, you're not able to.
if you were able to, then you.
Good. So, but it's not a question. Why didn't they? The reason why they didn't is because it's not possible. So firstly, you can say a few things, okay? So what I mentioned yesterday, there's a machlokas in the Yuma, Rabbi Yochanan Shlokish, Chatzi Shirosa Min HaTorah. If you eat less than the full volume, is it a Torah violation or is it a rabbinic violation? Correct? According to Reish Shlokish, it's only Drabanan. Chatzi Shir is Mutter Min HaTorah. If you want to eat a half a gazais of Nevela, on a Torah level, you're not in violation of anything. That's Reish Lakish. Correct? So according to Reish Lakish, it's a good question. Right? Why did they have to wait for the 16th Eid Chodosh? They should eat the matzah of Chodosh, Asidil Cholosasei, and even if you have to eat slightly more is not too gazation. So you're covered. And it's a good question. I say, Don't Cholosasei. However, according to Rabbi Yochanan, that Chatzi Shir is also in Torah, it's a Torah violation. So the question is not a question. So maybe Yerushalmi holds like Reish Lakish. When the one in the Yerushalmi asked the questions going according to Reish Lakish, the Chatzi Shir is mutter min Torah. It's mutter. That's why it's a question. So that it has to get answered me because it's not say kodim dibur. It doesn't supersede iser, which is lachar dibur, right? According to Reish Lakish, according to Rabbi Yochanan, it's not a question, right? Or maybe there's a question, the famous machlokes of Rambam and the Rambam and all the other Rishonim, and the Rashba and Kiddushin, which we're going to have later, not in this parak. Savi d'oraisa l'kul l'chumra. The person is endowed savi d'oraisa on a Torah level. Is it l'kul l'chumra? Okay? Howard, what do you say? It's machlokes. No, everybody agrees it's l'chumra. The question is, why is it l'chumra? Is it midoraisa l'chumra or midrabana l'chumra? Right? Everybody understands you have to say Shemona Esrei. Right? Is it a doraisa or is it drabanan? Right? That's the machlokas. Same thing. Sav doraisa is l'chumra. But is l'chumra midoraisa or is l'chumra midrabanan? Right? So it's a machlokas. The Rambam's position is Sav doraisa is l'kula. Why we machmir midrabanan we machmir? The Rashba and all the other Shalom say no. Sav doraisa is l'chumra midoraisa. On a Torah level, you have to be stringent. It's not a rabbinic, it's not midrabanan, right? So according to the other Rishonim, our question is a question, correct? On the Yerushalmi, what's the question? If you have to eat slightly more, you may be in violation. So it's Sav d'oraisa l'chumra, you're not permitted. So therefore, you can't even begin. But according to Rambam, the Rambam holds Sav d'oraisa is l'kula. It's only chum drabanan. It's not a problem. Here I have a question. I have an obligation to eat matzah. Yeah, but you understand. So what? But I may be in violation of what? Eating chodesh. So if the rice is l'kula, so it's not a problem. So therefore, it's a good question. Even if I have to eat slightly more, and since this is pre-fences, there's pre-fence, so we're only dealing with the doraisa. So Risham is asking a good question. Let's say asidul chalosa's sake, because it's in the context you have to fulfill your mitzvah. So I should be able to eat chodesh and say asidul chalosa's sake.
When the Torah commands us to eat matzah, as we just a flat commandment to do this, is there a minimum quantity to eat to discharge that?
Yes, kazais, halacha l'shmim Sinai. Kazais, that's the Torah obligation.
And for a kazais is not enough to violate the chodesh.
Definitely. No. To be violated in its full measure. Well, it depends on Rabbi Yochanan Reish Lakish.
No, but for me to discharge my obligation,
You must eat a kazais of matzah.
Now, if I eat a size of
Chodosh.
matzah,
Within the context of a mitzvah.
within the context of
That's the Rishalmi. We should say, Asi Tochalos Asay.
No, but now I'm getting into the question of Chatzi Shir.
No. What exactly? In the absolute, conceptually, we know a kazayis is a kazayis. But practically speaking, do you know exactly what a kazayis is? You may be off 1 grain, less or more. So you have to eat slightly more to make sure that you ate the kazayis.
I suppose that I knew exactly what it was.
It's not possible to know. It's not possible to know.
But if, theoretically.
But the Yusham's not asking a question on theoretics.
I understand, but if I were to
No, that's not a problem. Asi Tochalos Asay.
that's what the rule is.
That is the rule.
That's all.
So Yerushalmi says, here not, because the Asay preceded Sinai, so that Asay will not supersede. That's the answer. That's the answer to the question.
But my hands are tied.
So you're not permitted.
I'm not permitted.
So you're not permitted, so you're not able to eat the Chodosh. Therefore, they had to eat the old grain to fulfill the mitzvah of eating matzah. They could not eat the new grain. They would not be permitted. That's the Yerushalmi's answer.
Because I cannot.
You have to fulfill mitzvah simchas yom tov. You permit eating not kosher food, not kosher meat, not. It's not kosher.
Then I'm not clear on what Reish Lakish is saying.
No.
On this
I'm only introducing a Rish Lakish. If the Asay is to eat a Kazayas, this is before the Yushalmi's answer. I was asking on the question. Why is the Yushalmi asking we should say Asay Decholos Asay? The Asay is a Kazayas. What is a Kazayas? Conceptually, we know what a Kazayas is. But practically, you don't know exactly you've eaten sufficient. You may have eaten too little or too much. So if there's a chance you ate too much, it's a problem. You have to eat a little more to make sure you ate sufficient. So you're entering into an area where it's a Torah violation.
If I ate too little, what have I accomplished?
Correct?
I've accomplished nothing.
Nothing. And if you eat too much, the additional, what is its value? The additional.
I may have violated.
So that you may have violated. So good. So that's my question. So practically speaking, there's no way to know that you may have violated. You're not permitted to begin. No, that's halacha mishum. Whenever Torah says eat always means kazayus. That's halacha mishum Sinai. Don't eat or eat. Either way, it's a kazayus. So I'm explaining to you. It's probably very simple because the model of Asnei Cholosase is Kalim B'tzitzis. That is the Xersa Kosov. Kalim B'tzitzis is post Sinai. Otherwise, how do you understand? Because I have no model of that. I have no model that an Asay before Sinai has the power to supersede a Losai post Sinai. It's not Asay Docholos Asay. It's not Asay Docholos Asay.
No, but we wouldn't need the word in the pasuk.
That's why you need it. Why? What are you talking about?
Because it proceeded, according to that rule, it proceeded.
No, but it's just the opposite. It does supersede the Shabbos.
Right, but only
Because they have that word.
But if it,
Not because it precedes only that. First, the Enes Docholos Sheish Bokoris. Lo Sheish Bokoris Asay does not supersede. Shabbos is Koris Mises Bezdin. So it has no relevance to the whole concept of one supersedes the other.
what's the liability for eating Kaddish?
The lot, Los Asay, just an ordinary Los Asay.
This idea that whatever the Torah said before Matan Torah has a heavier weight.
Has less of a weight. Less of a weight. That's what Shamli says. Even though yesterday I said logically it should be to the contrary.
And even though it's also in the Torah as well.
Doesn't make a difference. I mean, logically, it should be just the opposite. If the Torah already said it begins before and it continues, and the provision didn't exist pre, it's even more so it should supersede. That shows its importance.
And we apply this across the board.
That's Yerushalmi. That's one answer Yerushalmi. According to the second answer, there's no proof to that.
Yerushalmi applies this across the board to everything.
I'm not that proficient in Yerushalmi that I know applies it to everything.
If you can never measure kazayis accurately, then the mitzvah, any mitzvah that requires a kazayis, you should have to
Eat a little more. You do eat a little more. You do eat a little more.
So I'm saying, what?
But even with the sheet, it's not. We hold Efshel at Samsi. It's never no. You may be off one granule. 1 gram, said it's Torah violation. See, if you hold like Rish Lakish, it's not a problem. That's Chatzi Shir. But if you hold like Rabbi Yochanan, it's a problem.
So maybe that's a proof that Chatzishir would be allowed, because otherwise, how would you ever fulfill these mitzvahs?
Always eat a little bit more.
Right. But
So
then
good, no
if you eat
problem.
a little bit more
There's
than
nothing. There's nothing wrong with eating a little bit more usually.
No, usually.
So you know, chodesh. Factually, they didn't eat chodesh. So I bring just the opposite. Bring a raya. Why did they eat chodesh? The answer is because since you never know, that proves Chatzi Shir is also min Torah. Just the opposite. But Yishami doesn't answer that. So Yishami, I'm saying, is going like Rish Lakish, right? But according to Rabbi Yochanan, the answer that would be the answer. Because you can't say, because it may be slightly more. So you're not able to say Asidel Cholosa say.
It's an amazing thing, even the Torah said it twice. It makes it
It doesn't say because twice, because it pre-existed Sinai. Tosas, because since it mitzvah pre-exists Sinai, does not supersede a lav that was given after Sinai.
That's an amazing, because the Torah did say it twice.
Okay, correct.
And once it said it the second time,
It doesn't make a difference. But it's still this mitzvah preceded Sinai. I'm saying, that's what I'm saying. According to Rabbi Yochanan, there's no proof from this. Unless he has proof from elsewhere. Here it's for another reason, because it's Chatzi Shir also min Torah. That's why they couldn't eat it. What are you talking about? It is a mouth. I just want to taste it. Taste in the veil. What is bought it? There's no relevance to Bittul. No relevance to Bittul. Okay. There's a prima godim. So I'm saying, according to the Rambam, right, if you have the rice of l'chumra, so then it'd be a problem. But if you like the Rambam of the rice of l'kula, so also, even according to Rish Lakish, Rabbi Yochanan, Yushami is good, right? That's what I'm saying. You can eat a little more, because since I have a Torah obligation to what? To eat matzah, therefore that supersedes, but I may be in violation, okay? So that's the violations of the rice of l'kula, right? According to Rambam. Right? So therefore, Yushami's question is a good question, even according to Rabbi Yochanan. According to Rambam. Correct? Because it's only Drabanan also. Right? This is pre-Drabanan. Therefore, Yushami has an answer, even according to Rabbi Yochanan. Except there's a prima godim, which I don't remember the rationale. He wants to say that the Rambam only holds Savit rights l'kula. That's all about lavim. By an asay, he agrees that it's Savit rights l'chumra. Person that doesn't recall, did he put on tefillin, did he not put on tefillin? You have to put on tefillin. Midoraisa. If it's a prohibition, we deal with it leniently. But if it's a asay, maybe. Where does the Rambam learn some of the rice l'kula from? The Torah says, Lo yovam mamzer b'kal Hashem. What about a person who's a sofik mamzer? Question. Maybe yes, maybe not. A woman commits adultery and you have a question, was it a full-term child or was it a 7-month child? You're not sure who did she conceive. So it's a sofik mamzer, right? It's a suffix. Is that sofik mamzer on the Torah level permitted to marry into Klal Yisrael? So it's a Gemara. The Gemara says, mamzer vade v'lo mamzer sofik. The Torah only prohibits a definite mamzer, but not a question mamzer. Although it's a 50-50 question. So Rabbi says, we see there, although we're dealing with a lo saseh, lo yov mamzer kal Hashem, the Torah says clearly the sofik mamzer is permitted. So from there, the Rambam says clearly sofik deraisa is l'kula. But the Gemara says even per sofik mamzer rabbinically, we don't allow him to marry into Klal Yisrael. So the Rambam says see clearly from the Gemara sofik deraisa l'kula, and that was stringent rabbinical. That's the basis of the Rambam. The others say they bring another proof. It's normally l'chumra. This is the exception.
So they deal with that
as the exception. That's the exception.
you can't learn
Right. So okay, there's a sefer called Sheif Shemaitza. He deals with this. The Rambam, he deals with both sides of the issue. Okay? But I'm saying, but what is the example? The example is lo saseh. The example is not aseh. So therefore, because it's a lo saseh, that's what we say l'kula. So according to that, we're back. So now we're back to square one. According to the Prima Godim, So even according to Rabbi Yochanan, it's difficult. What's the Yerushalmi's question? According to Rabbi Yochanan, if Chatzi Shir is also min Torah, and there's no way to know exactly what exactly Kazai, you have to eat slightly more. So again, there's something to write L'chumra. So if that's the case, Yerushalmi's question is not a question. So you have to say, according to that, the Yerushalmi is going according to the position of Reish Lakish. The Chatzi Shir is only also midrabanan. Seemingly, that's what you have to say. And his answer, Tosa's answer is a good answer too. It's Gzeira Ksayis Rishonot Ksayis Sheni. If we allow you to eat one Ksayis, maybe a second. Right? So according to Rish Lakish, you're eating always more. But you always have to eat slightly more. But that is Rish Lakish. The question is based on that. But we're not concerned you may eat more. You may eat another Ksayis. If you eat another Ksayis, then we have a problem. Then we're no longer dealing with a Chatzi Shir. Then you're dealing with a full volume. Right? So Tosa's answer, Inami, is going within the context of Rish Lakish's position. It's not you may eat more than a Kazayas, you may eat another Kazayas. You eat another Kazayas, then definitely, that's a full volume. That's Issa Doraisa.
It's just coming as basis.
Sherelle, we're concerned, you may eat more, another Kazayas. You eat another Kazayas, it's a problem. Well, tomorrow it's going to be permitted in either case, because tomorrow, we're talking about the first night. Torah violation. The only reason why you would justify the first, because that's the cholosase. What's the justification to the second, regardless when you eat it? Right? There is no justification. It's irrelevant. Same time, let's say he takes two kazayis and eats them simultaneously. So it's also he violated. Torah only permits you to eat one kazayis, not two. Because one's an assay, the second one's there's no assay. Seemingly, from the Yerushalmi, it seems to be it's going Bishitas according to the position of Rish Lakish. The Chatzi Shir is mutam in Torah. Seemingly. I mean, yesterday Moshe asked the question, which the Gemara alludes to it. I mean, we have a principle. We have the Gemara says in Shabbos, one day say asay dochalos asay, if you have two, you have the asay pitted against los asay, and they're not reconcilable. So we say one supersedes the other. Whatever, it is reconcilable. You could reconcile it. There's a way to do it without violating the los asay. So let's say that Yosha, here, this case here, Tosas asks, why did they have to eat Yosha to be fulfilled the mitzvah of matzah? They could have eaten chodosh. What do you mean they could have eaten? But if you could be yotze with Yoshan, one doesn't say asay v'lo asay, right? It's only if you have no choice, right? So what I said was that seemingly Yerushalmi is asking, seems to be what I mean. Everybody had Yosha. What about if there's a? Let's say you don't have sufficient to go around. Not all famine. Any person. You have millions of people. Some people didn't have Yosha. So it seems to be they didn't eat matzah. They weren't permitted. Why weren't they permitted? I say dochalos. I say because there you have no choice. There's a question Tosa says in Reb Lezer de Milo. Reb Lezer holds that machshirei mitzvah adoche Shabbos. Not only does mitzvah supersede the Shabbos, but even what's needed to facilitate the mitzvah also supersedes the Shabbos. Right? So if you have to transport the knife, yeah, even that. But make it simple. Whatever is needed to bring about the Milo, you're permitted. So you're permitted to transport the knife. If the only way you're able to get the knife to the child is by transporting the knife, you're permitted. That's Rebbe Lezer's position. We don't rule like Rebbe Lezer. So Tosa asks a question, why take the knife to the child? Take the child to knife. We say, Chai no se satzmo. It's only rabbinically not permitted. Why? Chai no se satzmo. If you carry a human being, you're not in violation of transporting. It's considered Chai. Right? But that's Tosa's question. Carry. No sin is carrying. It carries itself. It's with a aleph, not with a sin. With a sin. with a sin, not, right? What? No, well, Tosis. Wait, good. So some Rishonim say that we only say Chainos is Atzmo when it's older. A child who can walk, child who can't walk, we don't say Chainos is Atzmo. But Tosis doesn't answer that. Tosis answers because you're not accomplishing anything. Why? Because the Gemara says everybody agrees if a person is ill, is not well, we don't say Chainos is Atzmo. The person is a chole. It's only if he's a well person we say Chainos is Atzmo. So after you circumcise the child's a chole, right? So either way, so what do you have to transport the child back to its mother, and it needs its mother because the mother has to nurse it. As a result of that, we don't say that. Therefore, you're permitted to take the knife to the child because you accomplish nothing by taking the child because ultimately you're going to have to transport it in either case because you have to bring the child back to the mother. That's Tosas' answers. Other Rishonim say no. Other Rishonim say that circumcision is sutra. It's permitted. You're permitted to do whatever's needed. If we're talking about one has to supersede something else, okay? If it's Tosa says it himself, if there's any degree of inconvenience and it's easier to bring the knife to the child than the child to the knife, you bring the knife to the child. No, we don't rule like Rebbe Lezer. This is according to Rebbe Lezer. According to Rebbe Lezer. Rebbe Lezer agrees. I mean, if you don't have to violate, you don't violate. Person has a surgical scalpel. Is he permitted to bring another one or it's not needed? Of course not. It's only because the Torah only says if it's needed to facilitate the milah. It is. So either way you have to violate the Shabbos. Whether it's called Pikuach Nefesh or it's called milah.
You go with Nosei Atzma.
No, once the child is sick, it's not Nosei Atzma anymore.
No, but now on the return trip, so you have accomplished something. Now you've got another way out.
Wait. To take the surgical scalpel to the child, to leave it by its mother. Wait 1 second. So even though the child is Pikuach Nefesh, so the child's with its mother, you don't have to transport the child. So what difference does it make? I'm transporting the knife or I'm transporting the child?
The mother has had a baby 7 days ago. She's not walking.
Not the mother's not walking. The child.
The mother's not walking with the child. The mother's not the one
Right.
carrying
Somebody's going to carry the child.
Someone's going to carry the child. The mother is at home. She's recovered.
Good.
Okay, so they carry the child to the morgue.
Now we circumcise the child.
Now the child's got to be returned to them.
Correct.
Pikuach Nefesh.
Pikuach Nefesh.
So you have accomplished something. That would give you the way around the problem.
But according to Rebbe Lezer, transporting the knife is no different than Pikuach Nefesh.
No, I'm not going to. I'm going to.
No, we're going according to Rebbe Lezer. We're going to toast questions according to Rebbe Lezer. Why should you transport the knife to the child, take the child to the moel? So Tosa says we're not accomplishing anything. Because in either case, you're going to have to violate the Shabbos, because you're going to have to bring the child back to the mother. So what are we accomplishing?
That I'm saying Pikuach Nefesh.
And taking the knife to the child?
That's a problem.
It's not a problem, because Torah says you're permitted. It's the same, although it's not called Pikuach Nefesh, it's called taking the, it's the same thing. Torah permits it. Torah permits Pikuach Nefesh, Torah permits what's needed to facilitate the milah. So that's Tosa says, we're not accomplishing anything.
It's done. Let's say we were dealing with the Pikuach Nefesh issue.
Yeah.
On the way back. Once milah's done, you don't have any, according to Rabbi Eliezer,
That's Tosa's question.
you don't have any
Right.
prerequisite
Correct. That's exact Tosa's question. Tosa says, why do we have to take the knife to the child and violate Shabbos? You have a way to reconcile it by taking the child to the mother, to taking the child to the moel, where Shabbos does not be violated. It's the same concept as Efshel Kam Shneim. You're able to accomplish both without a violation. Tosa says, no. Ultimately, you're going to have to violate Shabbos in either case, because you have to bring the child back to the mother.
That is not called violating the Shabbos. That's called
The first is also not called violating the Shabbos, because Torah says anything for circumcision. That's also not called. Whatever context one is, the other context is the identical context. According to Rebbe Lezer. See, it's not simple. What?
taking the scalpel to the child, according to Rabbi Eliezer, is okay.
Is permitted.
No problem.
It's no different than circumcising the child. When you circumcise on Shabbos,
Fine.
taking the scalpel is like circumcising the child.
But once that is done,
Okay.
it's all over. The child is with the mother, it's in the house of the parents, no problem. You're done. But taking the baby to the child,
To the moil.
To the moil, according to Rabbi Eliezer, it's okay. But what did he say about the maternity?
It will also be okay because it's pikuach nefesh.
For a different reason.
Doesn't make a difference what the reason is. We don't want to violate. What are we trying to accomplish? Not to violate the Shabbos. The least degree of violation. In either case, you violate either it's pikuach nefesh or because it's milah. So we're accomplishing nothing. Therefore, you do what's easy is take the scalpel to the child with the mother, where the mother is.
So we're counting pikuach nefesh as violating Shabbos.
Whatever. And we're calling taking the scalpel also violating the Shabbos, except it's permitted. It's permitted to violate Shabbos for the sake of milah. Right? That's Rebbe Lezer. Not a Sidophilosa. It's not a Sidophilosa say. Right? But it's not simple. Some Rishonim differentiate. There's a question we discussed this in Be'er. Is pikuach nefesh hutra or techuya? Yeah, David. Wait. Why is that a question? Pikuach nefesh, the circumstance creates pikuach nefesh. Right? The Torah says a child that's born on the 8th day, circumcise that child. Because since the Torah is specifically speaking about Shabbos, not on the 8th day, a child that's born on Shabbos, Torah says specifically violate Shabbos. Since the Torah is addressing Shabbos directly, that's hutra. It's not techuya. Regarding circumcision, there's no. It's not I have to override the Shabbos. Shabbos is suspended.
So now that's the better way to go then.
But it's a question. So that.
Those who rule that way.
So then it's very good. So you're better off taking the knife to the child than the child back, because the child back is pikuach nefesh. That's techuya. Taking the knife to the child, that's hutra. So definitely that's the better way to go. No, it's machlok. Yom Hashmini. Hashmini. Afilu b'Shabbos. To be continued.